Okay, Beseda, good morning. So we're up to Siman Nun Hey, Halacha Base. Very interesting halachas. What if you've got a minyan to start with, and then people slip out? Can you finish off? Can you say Kaddish, even though you haven't got 10 people in the shul right now? How does that work? So says the Mechaber, if you began saying Kaddish or Kedusha with 10 people, v'yotzu miksoson, and some left, you're allowed to finish off Kaddish or Kedusha that you began, so long as Roiv stay. Mishra will say that's six people. As long as you got 6 people there, then you're okay. Says the Ramah, however, you shouldn't have left. If you've got a minyan and you've got a tight minyan and you're leaving means that you're going to spoil the minyan, then you shouldn't have left. That those who abandon Hashem yichlu will sort of disappear. But if there's still 10 people there, then for you to leave early, if you have to, then that would be okay. It says in the Mishnah Berurah, you've got involved in hischil. It's lav dafka for Kaddish or Kedusha, but kagoy nesias kapayim, kriyas Torah, haftarah b'navi, goyimrin kol ma sheshayach l'inyan zeh, you're able to finish off that particular inyan, because you've already started it, but you don't do another inyan. Interestingly, he says in footnote 19 of the last paragraph, of a slichas, what about slichas? If you've got exactly a minyan and you want to lip out before they finish slichas, he says further on in Tov Kuf Pei Aleph, you're allowed to say the Kaddish after Slichas even though you haven't got a minyan. But to say the Yud Gimel Midas when you haven't got 10 people in the room, then Kosov Agon Chaim Kanievsky not to say Yud Gimel Midas, but to say Kaddish, yes. But even any of Hashem. Lav dafka the pismain, even the Hashem.
We're saying today.
Yeah, that's true. I see. Okay, good. Sivkot and Zayin, Loma Kaddish. V'im hischel loma yishtabach, if you began to say yishtabach ba'asora, v'yotzu miksoson, and then some people went out, v'cheinim hischel loma ashrei shekoidim u'mincha ba'asora, v'yotzu miksoson, or you're at mincha, and you have a minyan, and one guy was there for ashrei, and then suddenly he left. The Prima Godim is misupuk whether or not you can say the Kaddish afterwards. The Kaddish is going on the Yishtabach and on the Ashrei. If you come to Mincha and you've got a minyan and halfway through Ashrei, a guy runs out, so then that's too soon, and therefore they say that you can't say a Kaddish just because there was someone there, for part of Ashrei. Kedusha. So the Mechaber says that if you started a minyan with and you've got 10 people for Kaddish or for Kedusha, so he says lav dafka. In other words, even if you just had 10, you had a minyan just during the brachas at the beginning of Chazoras Hashatz when they're saying the brachas of Avos, lav dafka that you had it for Kedusha. But even if it was there for the beginning, we're going to say in the next sif, Sif Gimel, that even then you can finish off all of Chazoras Hashatz so long as you had a minyan at the beginning at Avos. So maybe the reason why he says dafka Kedusha is to teach me the Chiddush to Sefer over the Sefer. That you need to have the Roiv who are still in the room, even for Kedusha. Kaddish, you can finish off that Kaddish. Now, if it was the Kaddish before Baruch Hu, you can even say Baruch Hu. So you've got 8 people in the room, 7 people, even 6 people in the room, you can still say Baruch Hu, not only the Kaddish, but even Baruch Hu. The Kula Chada Inyonahu, because the Baruch Hu is linked to that Kaddish. He argues with this. HaKedusha says in the Mishnah Berurah, Lav dafka Kedusha, that like I just said, you can finish off all of Chazoras Hashatz even if you haven't got a minyan in the room, because you started with one. And according to what the Ramah says in the next sif, not only that, not only can you finish off Chazoras Hashatz, you can even say the Kaddish after the Chazoras Hashatz. You can even say that as well. Because so long as you started Shemona Esra with a minyan, you can finish it off. Even though we said you can't duchen with less than 10 people, even if you started with the Shemona Esra with 10, that's proper duchening, where Kohanim come to the front and they duchen properly. Merely saying the paragraph of Elokeinu in Chazar Hashatz, Yoma, you can do that. Because at the end of the day, you started Shemona Esrei, and this is part of Shemona Esrei. V'gam zeh shayach to Shemona Esrei. Rubon, as we said, Hainu Shisha. All you need is 6 people in the room. V'lo bo'in in Ruba Dominica, we don't need the rove, which is Nikar, which is recognizable, which I think is 7. Aveirahi, so the Ramah says that it's an Aveira to leave early. That means if you didn't finish that particular inyan, but if you waited until they finished that inyan that they needed you for a minyan, there were 9 people, you come in for Baruch Hu, they got their Baruch Hu. So you don't have to wait until they finish Chazaras Hashatz, because that's a separate inyan. But Srufim, if he was with them at the beginning of Chazaras Hashatz, when the Chazan repeated it, then you got to finish that inyan. What does that inyan mean? That inyan means the whole of Chazaras Hashatz and Kedusha and the Kaddish at the end of Chazaras Hashatz. The whole Kihai Gavna. So it's always that inyan. You can leave so long as you've heard Kedusha v'Kadesha Adolenu. Okay, let's just do Gimel. If they started Chazaras Hashatz, the Yotzu Miksasan, and then a few guys nipped out of shul, and you haven't got the minyan, Goimer Afilu Kedusha. You can finish the whole of Chazaras Hashatz, and including Kedusha. If some people left after you began saying Yotzer, i.e. they were there for Baruch Hu and whatever, and then some people left during Yotzer, the brachas before Kriya Shema, that doesn't allow you to now do Chazaras Hashatz, because that's a separate inyan. So you did Baruch Hu and you did that, but you can't do Chazaras Hashatz. The Kvan Nishlim Tfilas Yotzer, because you've now finished Tfilas Yotzer, and now long you haven't got a minyan. If they left after you during Chazaras Hashatz, like I said before, like Mishnah said, that you can finish Chazaras Hashatz and the Kaddish afterwards, the Shaykh Tefillah, because that's Shaykh to the Tefillah. Shahari Omer Tiskabel Sloson, accepted our prayer. Aval Ein Keren Batorah Dizonia, but you can't now go on to the next inyan, which is Kriyas HaTorah, because you haven't got a minyan. Or Tfilas Arvis for Kaddish La'achrov Lo Shaykh the Kriya Shema Birchoseha, and the Tfilas Arvis, the Kaddish which is afterwards, is not Shaykh the Kriya Shema Birchoseha, and therefore you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, let's just do Mishnah Berurah. Tesvo Afilu Kedusha. V'adin the Goimer Hashatz Kol Tfilah Shemona Esrei. So too the Shliach Tzibur can finish the whole of Chazaras Hashatz. V'lo Nokat Kedusha Ela Mishum D'lo Neima Du Inyanache. But it's lav dafka the Kedusha. I wouldn't have thought the Kedusha maybe is one inyan, but it's the whole of Chazaras Hashatz with Kedusha. Lacha Sheheschilu Nokat Hailishna. You dafka started Chazaras Hashatz. We dafka use that expression lafukim in Maharash Shehuva B'darkei Moshe Sheroitz Lahokal B'zel Be'emes. But the halacha is lefi haskomas hapoiskim hu, according to the consensus of poiskim, afilu matfila belachash hayagam kein ba'asora. If the silent Shemona Esra was with 10 people, dinahu shelo yaschal hashatz b'kol ram pachas me'asora. That if you didn't have 10 people at the beginning of Chazaras Hashatz, then you should not begin Chazaras Hashatz. If you just said Kaddish and Baruch Hu with 10 people, you haven't actually begun Birchas Yotzer. They literally ran out after Baruch Hu before you began Birchas Yotzer. It's as if you've already begun, and therefore it's okay. Shemona Esrei until Shemona Esrei, afilu pachas me'asara. Ukedusha lav dafka, afilu adayin le'omru kedusha. Even if you haven't yet said kedusha, kim sheschil ispal b'karma afilu b'rak v'avos levad. Goimrim af hakadosh shalom. So that's what we said previously. That if it's lav dafka kedusha, even if you began Chazaras Hashatz, you began the tefillah of avos, then that's you've started, and therefore you can finish that sugya. What's that sugya? Chazaras Hashatz, kedusha, the kaddish after Chazaras Hashatz, because it's all one inyan. Hakadosh shalom. And certainly the Chatzi Kaddish, which is straight after Shemona Esrei, but the Kaddish which is right at the end, after Oleinu, then lo yomar bazeh, you can't do that. Even if you began aleinu with the minyan, the yotzu miksoson, and then some people left halfway through aleinu, gam kein lo yomar hakadish to in the minhag, because the kaddish after aleinu is not intrinsically connected to the aleinu, it's just a minhag to say it, and therefore if you didn't have a minyan because half the people left during aleinu, it's not good enough. Mikolshkein l'shir hayichud kaddish lemizmer alachad limud l'tzorich dafka minyan b'shas kaddish. Again, so too with the David Hashem Oiri and the Shir Shel Yoim, you need a minyan present for that kaddish. But Torah im Erev can be yom sheni v'chamishi on a Monday or Thursday. L'kriya shema birchas mishum hachim ischilu birchas arvis v'asara. If you started Mariv with 10, or you just had 10 for Baruch Hu, and then some people left the minyan. All you can do is the kaddish before tefillah, because that kaddish is connected to birchas kriyashma. But you shouldn't say the kaddish which is after the Shemona Esrei, because that's not connected to the brachas of kriyashma. V'cholshkein say the kedusha v'kaddish Motzei Shabbos, and certainly for Atzah Kodesh and etc. afterwards, after Motzei Shabbos in V'yitzin Lecha. Avalim hoyu asara b'shas yischilu l'spal Shemona Esrei b'lachash. But if you had 10 people when you were davening the silent Shemona Esrei, v'achach yotzim miksos, and then some people went out, yesh lem hakadosh shalom sh'achat tefillah. So you're in Mariv, and then all of a sudden you turn around, there are 6 people left. You can then still say the Kaddish Shalom, which is after Tefillah, the Kaddish Shaykh Tefillah, because the Kaddish of the Kaddish Shalom, straight after Mariv, after your Shemona Esrei, is Shaykh to that Shemona Esrei, and the Maisa, you had a minyan for that Shemona Esrei. Right now, a few people left before before, but you can still say Kaddish. And Motzei Shabbos, Yocholima Chatzi Kaddish Achat Tefillah. You can also say Chatzi Kaddish straight after the silent Shemona Esrei of Mariv. V'gam Aseh the Kedusha v'Kaddish Shalom Sh'achar Kach, and you can also say the V'yinoyam and V'yitzin Lecha and the Kaddish Shalom afterwards. The Fisha calls the Shaykh Tefillah K'mei b'Shachris, because that's connected to the Tefillah like in Shachris. Peseda.